We will start with don't care in this lecture. Suppose you have a situation like this. There are two blocks in this combination circuit. Okay, one block is N1, it has 4 inputs. Another block is N2, which has 3 inputs. Okay, so these 3 inputs are coming from the outputs of N1. So let us say that N1 is not generating all the possible combinations of values for A, B, and C. What are the possible combinations? These are 3 variables, so you can have combinations from 0, 0, 0 to 1, 1, 1. That is, you have these 2 to the power of 3 combinations. So this circuit here, whatever is there inside, imagine a scenario where it is not generating all these combinations. Okay, let us say 0, 0, 1 and 1, 1, 0 are the values that are not being generated by N1. Okay, so it's not generating this combination. And what was the other one? 1, 1, 0. So it's not generating this one also. Okay, so therefore this N2 will not receive these inputs in any scenario. Okay, they never occur as inputs to N2. Or you can also have a situation where all the combinations are occurring. Okay, so all combinations are there, all combinations are coming, but the circuit output is used in such a way that it doesn't matter whether this particular combination, these 2 particular combinations are occurring or not. Okay, so the output is used in such a way that we really don't care whether you get a 0 or 1 for these combinations. Okay, because you are using the function in such a way. Okay, so there could be scenarios like this where you either don't get some combinations or you really don't care whether those combinations are coming or not. So in such a case, when you're going to design N2, you need not specify the values of F for these particular combinations. Okay, so whether you get 0 or 1 for these 2 combinations, you need not specify at all for N2 when you're designing N2. So that helps in hardware, reducing hardware cost. Okay, so these kind of functions are called as incompletely specified functions. So it doesn't matter whether these combinations are occurring or not. So these minterms, what are these minterms? A, B, E dash for this one, and this one is A dash, B dash, C, B dash, C. These are the 2 minterms, and these minterms are called as don't care minterms. Okay, we will see how these don't care minterms can be used in reducing the hardware complexity, or reducing the minimize the function. So let us look at one example. Before that, you have a circuit with 4 inputs having weight 8, 4, 2, 1. Okay, so it's BCD, binary coded decimal digits. Okay, you want to design a circuit in such a way that its output is 1 if and only if the decimal number represented by the input is exactly divisible by 3. Okay, so you have a BCD code with these weights 1, 2, 4, 8 weights, which is normal, right? You have 0, 0, 0, 0 to 1, 1, 1, 1. That will give you digits from 0 to 15. Now this is binary coded decimal, so therefore you use only the combinations of 0 to 9, right? So you want a circuit such that output is 1 if and only if the decimal number represented by the input is exactly divisible by 3, right? So here you're implicitly making an assumption that only valid BCD digits are occurring as the inputs to your circuit. So what are the combinations here? A, B, C, D. If you are assuming that your inputs are A, B, C, D, this is NSB, this is LSB, then these are your 16 combinations, 0 to 15, representing 0 to 15 by these weights. But you are assuming that only valid BCD digits occur as inputs. So obviously your inputs will be from 0, 0, 0 to 1, 0, 0, 1. right? 0 to 9. The other combinations do not occur. Okay, so what is the scenario we are talking about? If you go back, so what we are saying is that these combinations, let us say now you have A, B, C, D in this particular case, you want to design your N2, and what you're saying is your N1, it doesn't generate some combination, right? Like what you have said here, 0, 0, 1 and 1, 1, 0 are not being generated in your previous case. Now what you're having is 0, 1, 0, 1, 0 to 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay, so these combinations are not being generated by N1. So your N2 has some combinations of minterms which are don't care for you, right? So your output therefore will be important only for these 10 combinations of inputs, and these combinations of inputs are don't care for you. So how do you represent this? So you represent the function in this form. You are saying that the circuit has to give you 1 if and only if the decimal number is exactly divisible by 3. So Z has to be 1 only if this is a multiple of 3. So 0 of course is 1. Then this is 0, 0, 1, 1, which indicates the decimal number of 3. So 3 is divisible by 3. So you have 1 here. Then you have 0, 1, 1, 0, which is 6. Again divisible by 3. So this is giving you an output of 1. And you have 9, which is also divisible by 3. And so this is also 1. So what are your minterms? Then A dash, B dash, C dash, D dash, plus A dash, B dash, C, D, plus A dash, B, C, D dash, plus A, B dash, C dash, D. So these are your 4 minterms, right? 0, 3, 6, and 9. So these are your 4 minterms. Then that's not the end of the story. You have these 6 combinations which are don't care, right? So they don't occur. So in this particular example, so you write them in this notation, D, small d. You use small d for don't care minterm. Similarly, you will use capital D for don't care maxterm. So for each don't care minterm, there will be a corresponding maxterm. Okay, so your representation therefore will be in this form, phi d. Okay, if you are writing it in maxterm form, so you will be writing as phi capital M of the maxterm and phi capital D and the numbers for your don't care maxterm. So for each corresponding don't care minterm, you will have the same number here will come for your don't care maxterms also. So what will then this representation be? Whatever numbers are left out, right? From 0 to 9, what are left out here? For maxterms, it will be phi M 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8. Okay, and then phi D of 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So this is your maxterm representation for your Z, and along with don't care maxterm. Okay. All right. So now we will take an example where we can use the don't care to our benefit in reducing the or in simplifying your function. So when realizing incompletely specified functions, it is desirable to choose values for this don't care minterms, which will help simplify the function. So we'll go back to your first example. Okay, so it's easier. Only three inputs. So this is your function that you have in which you have 2 don't care. Now let us say if you're assigning zeros to the don't care minterms, what do you get? If you are assigning zeros, then this is 0 and this is 0. So therefore F will be having these 3 minterms, right? These 3 minterms, which will give you A dash B dash C dash plus A dash BC plus ABC. To minimize this, you can see BC is common. So BC into A dash plus B dash, A dash plus A, which is 1. So therefore you will have A dash B dash C dash plus BC, right? On the other hand, if you are going to assign 1 here, what will you get? If you assign 1, you will have these 2 minterms also coming into picture. for your full function. So that will be a dash b dash c dash plus a dash b dash c plus this term was there. Then a b c dash is coming. A b c dash is coming from this don't care and abc. So if you minimize it, this you will have this function. Okay. So 2 OR gates and 1, 2, 3 AND gates. Here it is a 3 input AND gate and another 2 input AND gate and 1 OR gate. Okay, so now suppose you are assigning 1 to 0, 0, 1. Okay, this is 1. And if you are assigning 0 to 1, 1, 0. Okay, so what will you get then? You will have this term won't be there now. A, B, C dash won't be there now. Only these 4 terms will be there. So this is your function. If you minimize it, you will get a dash b dash plus bc, right? So clearly you see that you have two input AND gates and 1 OR gate. You only need those gates. Compared to the case where both don't gates are ones or both don't gates are zeros, this is clearly lesser hardware requirement, right? So therefore, what value do you assign to your don't care will depend on the minimization, and we can find out easily. I mean, how do you do that? What should be given 0 and what should be given 1? That can be easily found out if you know about the minimization technique of Karnaugh map. We will come to these maps later. These I'm sure you must have all used these Karnaugh maps earlier in your 101 course or maybe in your +2 course. So we will come back to those Karnaugh maps again. You know, we will look at them in more detail later. But just keep in mind that what values do you want to assign for don't care to minimize the function. That is determined. That can be easily determined using Karnaugh maps. Okay, so this is your function here. Small m 0, 3, 7. These are your 3 minterms, and your 1 and 6 are your don't care minterms. So sigma small d 1, 6. And in terms of max term, this is how you can represent it. All right. The brackets are coming. Now we know what are combination circuits. I'm just very quickly recalling. It's a digital circuit whose output depends only on the inputs that are applied. Okay, and the output depends only on those inputs, and it has no bearing on the past history of inputs. Whatever is the present input, your output will depend on just that. So these are some examples: adders, subtractors, multiplexers, decoders, encoders, demultiplexers, and so on. So we will look at adders in this lecture. Some types of adders we will look in this lecture. Before we do that, let me talk a little bit briefly about something called a gate propagation delay. Suppose you have an inverter. Okay, it has transistors and some semiconductor devices inside, and when you are changing your input from one value to other value, the transistors have to switch, right? Inside the circuit, they have to do their own switching. The transistors have their own capacitances associated with them, and therefore there will be a delay. There will be delays involved for charging and discharging of these capacitances in the transistors, right? And therefore, if your input is changing like this, suppose it is changing like this, the output will take a little more time to change because of the delays involved. Okay, so that delay is called as gate propagation delay. I'm showing one gate, which is the simplest gate here. It is the inverter. Any other gate will also have its own propagation delay. So how you are defining your propagation delay in this particular case is, it is the time between the point where input is reaching half of its value, max value. Okay, it has switched from, in this case, it is switching from 0 to 1. So at some point it will reach the midpoint, right? Now, ideally, when you write, in inverter input and output, you just write like one vertical line like this. Okay, so in practice that doesn't happen. You cannot have sudden switching like this. There are always delays. So even your input will take a little bit of time to change from one state to another state, right? So let this point be the time where it is coming to half of its max value, and output is changing after some time. Okay, it has its own. These slopes need not be equal. Okay, this slope and this slope need not be equal. The rate at which input is changing and the rate at which output is changing, there might be small differences. But let us not get bothered about those finer details. Output, it is an inverter, so when your input is going high, output has to go low. So at some point, it will start going from high to low when the input is going from low to high, right? And the point, the time where it reaches half its value, that point and this point. Okay, so these are the two half times or half value times. The difference between them is being defined as TPHL here. Okay, so this is the propagation delay of your gate when it is switching from high to low. Okay, so your output is switching from high to low, and the propagation delay involved in that is TPHL. Similarly, when your input is changing from high to low, your output will change from low to high, right? So you define what is called as propagation delay TPLH. That means low to high. Output is switching from low to high. So the time delay required for this switching is your TPLH. These two delays need not be equal, and in many cases they won't be equal also. So what you do is you have to look at, when you're designing your circuit, you have to look at the worst case scenario. You assume that this is the maximum value of propagation delay that can happen, and so out of these two, you define the propagation delay of your gate as TPD is equal to maximum of TPHL and TPLH. Whichever is the maximum value, you take that as your propagation delay. Okay, and so if you have several such gates, in your circuit. Each gate is having, let us say, a delay of TPD. Suppose I have one more gate attached to this. Okay, so let us say I have one more gate. So your input has changed. Let us say this instant is my let us say T1. Okay, so the final output will change after how much time? Each gate is exactly same. Okay, in terms of delay. So it will change after 2 TPD, right? If you have 3 gates, then this output will come after 3 times TPD. Each gate has its own delay. Each gate is identical. Then same delays are there. So you just keep on adding, right? And therefore, when you have several gates in your circuit, you have to look for the time the circuit is taking to respond to your input. Okay, how much time will it take for you to get the right output? Now, it is also possible that your circuit might have several outputs, not just one output. Okay, there could be multiple gates and multiple combinations and multiple gates and multiple outputs. It's very likely that each output has its own delay. It's not that all the outputs will have the same delay. Each output can have its own delay. So you have to consider all these delays when you are going to design your combinational logic circuits. So this is our basic definition. TPD is the maximum of TPHL and TPLH. For our examples that we take today, for simplicity, what we are going to do is we will assume that all the basic gates have same delay. This is not true in practice, but we are doing this for simplicity. So what are these basic gates? Your AND, OR, and NOT gate. Okay, so we are saying all the three have the same delay of TPD. In your circuit, whatever circuit you are designing, if you find an AND gate, delay is TPD, OR gate TPD, NOT gate TPD. Okay, that is our assumption for simplicity. We will not get the accurate values, but we will have the proper order of magnitude, value. At least from the order of magnitude point of view, whatever delays we get, they will be fine. So that is what we are going to assume for today. Let us start with the addition. We want to add 2 binary digits A and B. This example we have seen earlier in a different context. Let me go through this very quickly. We have 2 binary digits A and B. You want to add them. So therefore, your output will have sum and carry, right? So this kind of circuit, combination circuit, is called as half adder. Okay, so 2 bits are there as your inputs. You're adding 2 bits and you are having 2 outputs, sum and carry. So you can easily see the values here. A plus B, 0 plus 0 is 0, 0. 0 plus 1 is, sum is 1, carry is 0. Okay, so maybe I should have put sum here and carry here. That would have been more clear. Anyway, so 1 plus 0 is 1. There is no carry. 1 plus 1 is Sum is 0 and carry is 1. The circuit for sum and carry, I mean the functions we have already seen here. It is easy to see. Sum is what? A dash B plus A B dash, right? Sum is 1 for these two midterms, so I can write it this way. And what is carry? Carry is only one midterm AB, right? So sum can be realized by an XOR gate, and carry can be realized by an AND gate. So my circuit therefore is simply one XOR gate and one AND gate. You see that A and B are going as inputs to both these gates. Fine. So this is my circuit. Now what is the propagation delay for carry? You can see that it is having just one basic gate, one basic AND gate. So the delay will be simply T. On the other hand, what is the delay for your sum? You have to find the delay for your XOR gate. Right? So what is your XOR gate? XOR gate has these terms, in its functionality. So A dash B, that requires an AND gate. Then AB dash, that requires another AND gate. And then you have an OR gate. Okay, so there are multiple stages. And before these, these are ANDed, you need A dash. So there is a NOT gate also. So there is a NOT gate here and a NOT gate here. So what is your circuit then? For XOR gate, this is your circuit, right? You get A here. You pass it to NOT gate. You have A dash. You give B here. So these two are going to your AND gate. You get A dash B. Similarly, from here you will get B dash and A, which gives you B dash A. These two are going to your OR gate, and you will get your sum, right? A plus B. What is the delay then? 1, 2, 3. 3 stages are there, right? And so obviously, if you are assuming all the delays are there, your total delay will be 3 times TPB. And for carry, it is only just 1 TPB. Okay, so this adder is called as half adder. We will be needing this a lot when we are going to go for more complicated, addition of more number of bits. Here you are just adding 2 bits, so you had used half adder. Now we will move to slightly larger circuit where we want to add more than 2 bits. Okay, so this is TP and 3 TP. Okay, so sorry, I have using 2 different symbols. Basically, this is same as your TPD that I am talking about. TP and TPD propagation delay. Okay, so now when you're adding numbers with multiple bits, right, how do you do the addition? Bit by bit, right? So you need to consider both the numbers. When you're adding bit by bit, you will be generating carry that is going to go to the next level, right? So addition for each bit, you can think of this as level. So you are starting from level 1 to level 1. You are adding and you are going to level. How many bits are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You are going to level 7. At each level, whatever carry is generated, that is given to the next stage. That is how you do your normal addition, right? So 1 plus 1 is 0 with the carry 1. 1 plus 1 is 2, which is 1, 0. So 0 and 1 carry. Sum is 0, carry is 1. Then you have 1 plus 1 plus 0. Again, 0 with carry 1. 1 plus 0 plus 0 is 1. There is no carry. 1 plus 1, 0, carry 1, and so on. Right? So you can see that carry that is generated in one stage is going to the next stage. Let us look at one more example. A is 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and B is 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1. So what is the addition? Again, 0, 1 plus 1 is 0. Oh, sorry, 1, 0. So 0 is sum and 1 is carry. 1 plus 1 is again 0 sum 1 carry. Again 1 plus 1, 0 sum 1 carry. 0 sum 1 carry. So on. Okay. So what do you see? You have generated 1 carry here from the first stage, and that carry is propagating, right? Through all the stages, this carry is propagating. So this is like your worst case scenario where the carry is propagating from the first stage, whatever carry you have generated, that is propagating till the last stage. right? So when we design circuits, we have to look for this carry propagation delay. How much time is it taking to get your carry? Sums are coming quickly in this particular case, multi-stage, but if this addition is being done immediately, there is no carry. But all the bits are given to you at the same time. However, if you want to add the second 2 bits of the second stage, you have to wait for the first stage to give its carry. Right? Only when the first stage gives you the carry, you will be able to perform this addition. Similarly, only when the second stage gives you the carry, you will be able to perform this addition. Even though you have all these 7 bits and 7 bits available to you right at the beginning of your adder. Okay, so you have A and B. All the bits are available to you, but you have to wait for the previous stages. So you'll have 7 stage addition happening in your circuit. So for each of these stages generating one sum and one carry. Okay, each of these stages generating one sum and one carry. So you have to wait for the first stage to generate carry, and then second stage will work out. It will generate its own sum and carry. Then the third stage will take the carry from this, and it will generate its own sum and carry, and so on. So the carry propagation delay is an important limiting factor for the speed at which you can do addition. Okay, so it can be seen that at each stage 3 bits have to be added. Clearly, half adder circuit is not sufficient because it adds only 2 bits, so you need a full adder. Let us first implement a full adder. So full adder, you take any particular stage. What is it doing? It takes 2 bits from input and 1 bit from the carry, and then does the addition, right? So it has 3 inputs. And how many outputs does it have? It will give you 1 carry and 1 sum. Okay. So your full adder can be represented like this. It has 1, 2, 3 inputs, carry from the previous stage, 2 input bits, and it will have 2 outputs, sum and carry. So let us write the truth table. A, B, C in are your 3 inputs. So obviously the possible combinations are 8 for each combination. You can calculate the sum and carry. Okay, so 0, 1, 1 will be 0, 1. Sum is 0, carry is 1. These additions are straightforward, those values. So you got your C out and S out. You can write your min term. Then for S out, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 min terms, which are written here. For carry, okay, you can write in this form. Take out A dash as common between these two, and A. Okay, so there is no A in here. Sorry. Take A common from these last 2 min terms. You can say this is an XOR gate. This is an XOR gate. So I have implementation like this for S out, which is nothing but A dash. This is like if you think of this whole thing as Y, and this is X. So I have X dash XY plus X dash Y dash. Which should be X nor, no? Why did I write X or? Let me check. Okay, so if I write, yeah, so X I am considering as X, A. Yeah, so this is X, A is X, B XOR C is Y, and therefore this is A, X, and B XOR C complement. So XY dash plus this will be A dash will be X dash. So XY dash plus X dash Y, which is XOR. So I can write my sum as having 3 inputs with 2 XOR gates, A XOR B XOR C. What is the carry out expression? Again, there are 4 min terms here, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can write them through the minimization. I'm going to do all that. You can check this and you will get this function as your input. AB plus AC plus BC. So these are your 2 expressions. I can now give my circuit a 3 input XOR gate. And for Cout, you need 3 AND gates and 1 OR gate. So what is the delay? For XOR gate, we know the delay is 3 TP, right? Go back to the previous circuit. You saw that XOR gate has NOT and OR, so a delay of 3P. So anytime you see an XOR gate, you assume that the delay is 3PD. Okay, we will not go back to internal circuit every time. We will assume that XOR has a delay of 3PD. We will keep using that whenever we find a XOR gate. So this has a delay of 3 TP. And what about the carryout delay? 2, right? 1 and 2 stage, so 2 TP. Okay. I can also write the circuit in this fashion: A XOR B, and that is given to another XOR gate with C as input. So I have A XOR B XOR C coming. Okay, I can use in this fashion also. Then what is going to happen? You take this A dash. What are you getting here? This is C here. And what is the other input that you're giving here? Intermediately, I'm generating A XOR B, right? So here I'm giving C and A XOR B as my inputs, or A dash B plus AB dash as my input here. So therefore, at this AND gate, this is what I get: C and A dash B plus AB dash. Here, of course, this is the same thing. I'm getting AB here, and I will OR them to get my Cout. You can check this: AB C in, sorry, A dash B C in plus AB dash C in plus AB. That is what your Cout is, right? You can use the elimination theorem: x plus x dash y is equal to x plus y, right? So I can use the elimination theorem and check that this is simply x plus y, which is b plus c. So I can write like this, which is a dash b plus bc plus ab plus dc. I can take dc as common and write 1 plus a dash bc into 1, right? Bc into 1. So 1 plus a dash is simply 1. And therefore, I will have bc into bc plus ab. Why am I getting ac? Did I do some mistake somewhere? AB. Yeah, sorry. So the mistake here is I forgot to write AB plus not BC. Okay, so this has to be AC. So that is the mistake I have done here. Sorry. AB plus AC plus A dash BC. So I take C in as common, and I will get A dash B plus A and I know that x plus x dash y is equal to x plus y. So this will be C in into A plus B, right? So I'm combining these two terms. C in into A plus B, which is giving me AC plus B. So AC, BC, and of course this middle term AB, which is my Cout. So I can realize in this fashion. Now why I'm doing this? Because if you look at this XOR and AND gate. You go back to your previous circuit of half adder. What did you have there? XOR and AND gate, right? XOR and AND gate is your half adder. So I'm writing my full adder function in terms of the half adder function. Okay. So look at this. This is my, this thing is a half adder, right? And this is also half adder. See, you have an XOR gate and a AND gate. So you look at this one. This is a half adder, right? The sum of the first half adder is given to the second half adder along with the carry, and the carry of the first half adder and the carry of the second half adder are given to the OR gate. So I can write the full adder therefore in this fashion. First half adder is having inputs of A, B, A and B. Carry is given to the second half adder. Sum of the first half adder is given to the second half adder. Okay, so first half adder, A and B are the inputs. Carry is given to the second half adder along with the sum of the first half adder. Okay, so this second half adder carry and first half adder carry are given to OR gate, and I will get the output. So I can realize my full adder using half adder. Okay, so that is the purpose here for showing this circuit. So at each stage I'm showing various outputs. You can easily realize that this is a full adder circuit. Right. So now we will look at what are called as n-bit parallel adder. So what you are doing is, as I have shown in the previous example, with 7 bits. So I have 7-bit numbers, 2 7-bit numbers I'm adding, A and B, right? So at each stage I require a full adder, right? At each stage I require a full adder. So now I want to realize the full n-bit adder. Okay, so these are called as n-bit parallel adder. There are various types: triple carry adder, carry look ahead adder, carry select adder, carry save adder. We will focus on the first 2 types. So what does the n-bit adder do? It takes these two n-bit numbers A and B, adds them, and it generates an n-bit sum and the final carry. Okay, so we'll look at the ripple carry adder first. This is the simplest design to understand what you are going to do here is, because you need full adder at each stage, the output of the full adder is given to the carry output of the full adder is given to the carry input of the next stage, and at each stage the carry output is given to the next stage. So you put them just all these n-bit adders in parallel, full adders in parallel. So you have full adder, full adder, full adder, full adder, and so on. First full adder, of course, will have a carry of 0, and so for each full adder you give your 2 bits. Okay, so you have A0, B0, A1, B1, and so on. The carry output from these is given to the next stage. Okay, so and so on. So this is some AI, BI. Finally, you will end up with your carry out. So carry propagates from one adder to the next. That means from stage I to stage I+1. In the worst case, as we have seen in the example here, in the worst case, your carry will propagate through all the stages. So this is my realization. Okay. Each full adder is taking in these inputs and giving out some outputs. Okay, so these are easy to understand. This circuit is very easy to understand. When used alone, in the first stage, the full adder in the first stage, if this entire parallel adder is being used alone, it's not having any input from the previous circuit, then this C0 will always be 0, right? If your C0 will always be 0, you can simply, instead of using the full adder, you could simply use a half adder, because if this is anyway 0, you just need to add these 2 bits. right? You don't need to add carry to it. So the first full adder can be replaced by a simple half adder, and therefore I can write my ripple carry adder like this. Okay, half adder in the first stage and then full adder. Okay, so now let us try and see what is the delay. Okay, so say all the inputs and carry 0 are applied at time t. Okay, all your inputs are available at t is equal to 0. So what is the delay for C1? 2 TP, right? We have seen the delay. Go back to the original circuit. You see, this is your carry output circuit AB plus AC plus BC, which is having a delay of 2 TP, AND gate and OR gate. XOR gate is some output is 3 TP. Okay. So those full adders are now kept in sequence here. So C1 will take 2 TP. This is at T is equal to 0. So after 2 TP, C1 will come. After 3 TP, S0 will come. Okay. Delay for C2 therefore will be another 2T later, right? So these are all available at T is equal to 0. Only problem is this carry is not available. So now carry came after 2 TP. So therefore the next carry will come out from this full adder at 4 TP. Okay, whatever is 2 TP, you add that to this. Its own delay, right? So 4 TP will be C2, delay for C3 will be 6 TP, and so on. So delay for Cn therefore will be 2n TP. Okay, that much of time will be taken for the carry to come out. What about the, yeah, so this is the timeline. So you start from 0, Cn comes at 2n TP. What about the sum delay? First sum will come at 3 TP. Second sum will have to wait for C1. Once C1 comes, it will take 3 TP time propagation delay to give your sum, right? So therefore 2 TP plus 3 TP, that is 5 TP. So sum 1 will come at 5 TP. Then C2 will come, right, after another 2 TP. So C2 is coming at 4 TP. After C2 comes, S2 will take another 3 TP. So this will come at 4 plus 3, 7 TP, and so on, right? So if you look at the sequence, you can write the delay for n stage S. You don't have n here. I mean, Cn is there, but you know Sn is not there. You're ending at Sn minus 1, right? Because you're starting from 0, S0, S1, S2, and so for n bits, you will have 0 to n minus 1. So for the Sn minus 1, the delay will be 2 times. You can easily write from this sequence 2 times n minus 1 TP plus 3 TP, which is equal to 2n plus 1 TP. Okay, so this is the timeline for sum. This is the timeline for sum. So carry comes out at 2n TP and sum comes out at 2n plus 1 TP. Clearly, you know, the total delay you can see it's proportional to n. The more the number of stages, the more the amount of time the circuit takes to give your output. Okay, now you can use the same thing with a small modification and use it as a subtractor. Okay, so I'm talking about n-bit parallel subtractor. You recall that A minus B operation is same as addition, right? All you need to do is you take 2's complement of B and add it to A, right? So therefore, in principle, you can see that, you know, if you take the complement, then you can use the adder circuit that you have developed and get your subtractor circuit, right? What is 2's complement? 2's complement is 1's complement plus 1. And what is 1's complement? 1's complement is simply not operation for each bit, right? So can you see this circuit now? I will add 1 for the carry. I want to subtract each bit, I mean 2 bits, B0 from A0, B1 from A1, B2 from A2, and so on, right? So let us first look at the first 0th stage. A minus B will be, I mean A0 minus B0 will be, what do? You take the 2's complement of B0 and add it to A. A0 plus 2's complement of B0. right? What is 2's complement of B0? 1 plus 1's complement of B0, which is 1 plus B0 dash, right? So therefore, A minus B0 is A0 minus B0 is A0 plus B0 dash plus B0, sorry, plus 1, right? So I need to perform this addition. So I will use this A0 B0 dash with carry input of 1. So that because I've already added 1, this subtraction is going to give me S in place of S0. I will get difference. Okay, let me call it D0. And so same thing, same concept you can use everywhere. B1 dash, B2 dash. So every input you will give as B1 dash, B2 dash. You invert the B input and give as the input to the full adder. 1 you have already added, so you need not add every time. Once you have added 1, that is sufficient for any number of bits, right? You can suppose you want to subtract 4 from 6. So what is 6? 0 1 1 0. And what is 4? 0 1 0 0. Right? If you want to do this subtraction, you can take the 2's complement of 4. 2's complement of 4 is what? 1's complement plus 1. So 1's complement is 1 0 1 1 plus 1. You will have 0 1 plus 1 0 1 1 plus 1 0 1. So 0 plus 1 1. No carry 1. Okay. So you add 0 1 1 0 and 1 1 0 0. So you get 0 1 1 plus 1 is 0 1 1 plus 1 is 0 1 out. So you have the value of 2, right? So you just have to add 1. Take 2's complement and add 1 for the last bit, and you will have the difference between 6 and 4. So same concept is being used here. So you add 1 in place of the carry here, and then you will generate all these different values. Okay, D1, D2, and so on. So I use the same circuit except with a small modification to get a subtractor, parallel subtractor. Now I can use only one circuit to do both operations depending on the control bit. This is what the circuit is doing. See, for both subtractor and adder, you are using the adder only, right? The only difference is your carry. If your carry is 0, then you are doing it as a normal adder. But if your carry is 1 and you are complementing the B inputs, you are doing the subtraction. So this circuit does that operation. Look at this. I am putting this XOR gate and giving the B inputs to the XOR gate. Outputs of the XOR gates are given to the adder. Okay, so these are all my number A. These are the bits for number B. B bits are given to XOR gate. The other input of the XOR gate is a control bit that I am calling as P. P is the control bit. That is same as your first carry. Okay, so now let us see how this is operating. Take any stage. Some ith stage is there. What are you doing? You have an XOR gate with one input as P, right, and another input as DI. So what is the output then? What will be the output here? If I'm calling this DI, output of this XOR gate will be, you know, it is P BI dash plus P dash BI, right? So only when the inputs, one of the inputs is 0 and one of the other, and one input is 0 and other input is 1, you will get XOR gate as 1 equal to 1. So if P is 0, then Fi is equal to Bi, right? P Bi dash plus P dash Bi. That is your Fi. So if P is equal to 0, what are you getting? Bi. If P is equal to 1, you will get Bi dash. Right? So therefore, if you want to add, you put P is equal to 0. Put P is equal to 0, what is going to happen? You will get simply at every stage you get B0, B1, and so on. b n minus 1. And therefore your adder is doing what? P is 0, therefore carry is also 0. So your adder is simply adding a and b. On the other hand, if your p is 1, so if you want to do subtraction, what you do is you put p is equal to 1. Okay, so if your p is equal to 1, the same input is your c also, c0. So c0 is 1. You have c0 is equal to 1. And your XOR gate is giving you what? Because p is 1, outputs of your XOR gates are the complements of the b inputs. So you will have b0 dash, b1 dash, and so on. So what are you doing now? You're adding a and b complement with c is equal to 1, which is nothing but your subtractor circuit, right? And therefore, I can use this circuit to do both the operations of subtractor and adder. Okay, n bit parallel subtractor and n bit parallel adder. All I need to do is apply this control signal. Okay. Yeah, P is 0 adder, P is 1 subtractor. Let us now go to the second type of adder, which is called as the carry look ahead adder. We have seen that the ripple carry adder has a large delay, right? The delay was proportional to the number of stages or the size of the numbers that you are adding, right? It was proportional to n, 2n TP for carry and 2n plus 1 TP for sum, right? So it's proportional to n. And therefore, if the number is large, your delay will be large. So delay increases in the size of the numbers to be added. And so the major bottleneck here is because this is happening obviously because the carry has to propagate sequentially from one stage to another stage, right? So imagine a scenario where if you can generate the carry bit also in parallel, okay, at all the stages, if you are able to generate carry bits in parallel, then this propagation delay problem will be solved, right? So you need not wait for the previous stage to give you the carry to do your addition in this stage. So if you are able to generate all the carry bits first, okay, then give it to your adder, individual bit adders, you will be saving a lot of time. So you will need some initial delay, of course. There will be some initial delay because you want to generate the carry bits. You generate the carry bits after some initial delay, give all the carries to the adder, and you get your output. So that kind of generation of carry before you do the addition is called as carry look ahead generation adder. Okay, so this is carry. This adder is called as carry look ahead adder. Okay, of course, because you are going to generate carry bits. To generate the carry bit separately, you will need extra hardware. So hardware complexity will increase, but your time delay will decrease. So how do you do that? How do you generate carry ahead? Okay, so that we will see in the next class. Okay, so we will deal with this adder in the next class. I will stop here. Thank you.